You get the feeling they have a sense of superiority over other people. They have feelings of personal entitlement. They deserve special treatment. The rules of society don't really apply to them. Looking at successful people, whether it's in the media, politics, business, this description could fit any one of them. Here's the funny thing, some of you may find surprising, others may not. It also describes psychopaths.
Psychology, made simple.
There's a statistic I can't get out of my head right now. Amongst the general population, about 1 in 100 people will display significant psychopathic traits. Amongst successful business people, CEOs, that figure drops to 1 in 8. This means the people running the world's most powerful corporations, and sometimes entire nations, are about 10 times more likely to exhibit traits associated with manipulation, callousness, and a lack of empathy. These aren't killers or criminals. They don't walk around carrying chainsaws, and there's no Hollywood-style horror movie tropes associated with them. They're just real-world leaders, politicians, entrepreneurs, and billionaires who often behave in ways that overlap, sometimes shockingly, with traits found in clinical psychopathy. I'm a neurospicy psych major on the really long road to PhD. You can call me Dex. And this 30,000-foot view is meant to inform and hopefully inspire you to want to learn more, because this is a hell of a fascinating subject. So when we look at the overlap between the behaviors of psychopaths and successful people in business, for instance, the question then becomes, what exactly is a psychopath? Why are psychopathic traits so common at the top? And does our system reward psychopathic behavior? Let's dig into the psychology, shall we? So what is a psychopath? Introducing the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual 5th edition, what we refer to as the DSM-5. This is the handbook used by mental health professionals to help them diagnose psychopathologies. If you were to refer to the DSM-5, you'll notice it does not list psychopathy as an official diagnosis. Instead, it describes antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, as a pattern of violating social norms, exploiting others, and ignoring the rights and safety of people around them. But clinical researchers tend to agree. Psychopathy is a more severe, emotionally cold and interpersonally manipulative subset of ASPD. The DSM-5 traits most associated with psychopathy include superficial charm and manipulativeness, grandiose sense of self-worth, pathological lying, a lack of empathy and remorse. These map directly onto the Psychopathy Checklist Revised, or the PCLR. When it comes to lifestyle and behavioral traits, there's a need for stimulation, a problem with chronic boredom, impulsivity, irresponsibility, poor behavioral controls, a reckless disregard for safety, deceitfulness, criminal versatility. So psychopathy is a spectrum, and most psychopaths are not violent criminals. Some of them run companies. Some of them run countries. Because when mixed with intelligence and ambition, these traits can often look like confidence, leadership, vision, fearlessness, an ability to make the tough calls. And this is where things get dangerous. Let's talk statistics. Here's a breakdown of the prevalence of psychopathy in various sectors of society today. How many people would you expect in 100 to be showing psychopathic traits? 1% of the general population, around 4 to 12% of CEOs, up to 21% of senior professionals, according to one Australian study, 15 to 25% of prison inmates with a clinical diagnosis. So even at the low end of the spectrum there, CEOs are about 4 times more likely to exhibit psychopathic traits. Why? Because corporate systems reward behaviors that mirror high-functioning psychopathy. Charm becomes executive presence, grandiosity becomes visionary leadership, manipulation becomes strategic negotiation, callousness becomes tough decision-making. The very traits that destabilize communities can skyrocket someone to power inside a corporation. So let's hop back to those traits listed in the DSM-5 one more time and break them down. Hey now, Editor Dex here. quick disclaimer. In the next section, I'm going to offer some specific examples to help illustrate how certain traits associated with psychopathy show up in the news. Though I'm a psychology major and I do have a solid foundation in certain aspects of clinical and forensic psychology, I don't specialize in those areas. I'm actually an organizational psychologist. So with that in mind, any examples I give are in no way meant as a diagnosis. Mental health, psychopathy specifically, is a way more nuanced subject than I can discuss or I'm qualified to discuss in a 15-minute video. This is, after all, a 30,000 foot view, remember? So keep this in mind. Example, not diagnosis. Cheers. 1. Superficial charm. This maps to outstanding communication skills. Psychopaths use their charm as a tool, not to build relationships. Looking at Elizabeth Holmes and the case with Theranos, Holmes's calm poise, the black turtlenecks and charismatic persona helped to manipulate investors, journalists, the board of directors, high-ranking political figures. And behind that charm was deception and reckless disregard for patient safety. Her rise is a case study in how charm overrides scrutiny, one of psychopathy's hallmark strengths. 2. Grandiosity turns into visionary thinking. Psychopaths believe they're exceptional and untouchable. Adam Newman at WeWork. Newman promised to elevate global consciousness. Investors treated his grandiosity as genius until the illusion collapsed. Lavish spending, impulsive decisions, and a cult-like internal culture all mapped onto traits like inflated self-worth, thrill-seeking, strategic manipulation. His downfall illustrates how grandiosity is rewarded until the moment the numbers stop adding up. 3. Pathological lying and aggressive negotiation. Bernie Madoff. The largest Ponzi scheme in modern history was built on habitual lying, exploitation of trust, calm, calculated deceit. Psychopaths lie without guilt. For decades he used charisma and social status to evade suspicion. Madoff is one of the clearest real-world parallels to successful psychopathy, the ability to function smoothly until the mask slips. 4. Need for stimulation. Thrives under pressure. Psychopaths crave novelty, risk and intensity. DeLorean promised to change the automotive world with his revolutionary design in motor cars.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious
Despite his tremendous engineering talent, DeLorean's high stimulation lifestyle led to reckless financial risks, grandiose business decisions, involvement in a drug trafficking sting. The entrepreneur who can't stop chasing the next high is a classic psychopathy pattern. 5. Disregard for rules, disruptive innovation. Travis Kalanick of Uber. Under Kalanick, Uber became synonymous with evading regulators, including the utilization of Greyball, which was a secret software program developed by Uber that used data to identify and block passengers suspected of being city officials or regulators trying to entrap drivers. A toxic workplace culture, aggressive rule bending framed as innovation, zero empathy toward internal complaints. This is a near perfect overlap between psychopathic traits and startup hustle culture. 6. Lack of empathy, making the hard choices. This might be the most dangerous of overlaps. We're thinking Jeffrey Skilling and Kenneth Lay of Enron. Enron's culture rewarded cutting ethical corners, crushing competitors, deception as strategy, callous disregard for employee welfare. Thousands lost their jobs and pensions. The behaviours align eerily well with callous, unemotional traits, manipulation, pathological deceit. It's one of the clearest corporate examples of psychopathic leadership ever recorded. 7. Politics, dark leadership on the world stage. Associated with psychopathy is the dark triad: Machiavellianism, narcissism, psychopathy. These traits are considered dark because they are thought to contain malevolent qualities. Machiavellianism, a tendency to manipulate others. Narcissism, excessive self-importance and grandiosity. Psychopathy, callousness, impulsiveness, thrill-seeking. Political psychologists have long documented patterns of this dark triad in many global leaders. Patterns include strongman personas, chronic lying and narrative manipulation, aggression towards critics, grandiose self-importance, ruthless political maneuvering, lack of remorse for social harm. If we consider for a moment Richard Nixon and the Watergate scandal, we see deceit, manipulation, obstruction, behaviours that align closely with DSM-5 antisocial traits. When individuals with psychopathic traits rise to power, research shows consistent outcomes: toxic, fear-based workplaces, abusive supervision, high turnover and burnout, financial misconduct, short-term gains at long-term cost, deception and unethical strategy, cultures of silence and compliance. These people climb fast, but once in power, they damage employees, investors, communities, even entire economies. Let's summarize and ask some important questions. Here's the uncomfortable truth. A disproportionate number of powerful leaders display behavioral patterns that they overlap with psychopathy. Not because they're exceptional, but because our systems reward those traits. Charm is mistaken for competence. Grandiosity is mistaken for vision. Manipulation is mistaken for leadership. Callousness is mistaken for tough decision making. Risk taking is mistaken for innovation. So now the real question is, what kind of leaders are we creating when the traits that harm society are the same traits our systems reward? And more importantly, should leadership selection include psychopathy screening? Why do we confuse confidence with competence? What would leadership look like if we valued empathy as much as charisma? And how many global crises could be avoided if we stopped rewarding the wrong traits? It's not just about CEOs and billionaires, it's about the systems we build and the kinds of humans they elevate. If you've stuck around till now, I appreciate the company. And if this video changed the way you think about power and those who hold power, and made you want to learn more about psychopathy, hit like and subscribe, and forward this video along to your friends, maybe your boss, your congressman. And if you found this video interesting, wait till you see this one. Well, first impressions are often wrong, and the reasons will surprise you.
Please like and subscribe, you legend.